Hey everyone, Christopher Dixon here. We began our series this spring, 20 Tips for 2020, and what that is 20 tips, a video series, a short video series that we're doing for professionals. And those professionals are specifically for those of you who work in a business seeking to revitalize or grow your church, or a small to medium-sized organization. And the last tip that we did in our last video was making certain that you use social media for all the pitfalls and downsides that it has. If you're not using social media in the 21st century, you are losing out on a free tool that people expect you to use so that they can engage with you. Today's tip involves social media, but it also involves other platforms where you may be broadcasting. So that's whether you record anything, be that video or audio, wherever it may be. This tip may come across as a little bit offensive, but that's okay. It's important to understand, and that is this. We live in a really crazy time period where everything seems to be hot or cold, very vitriolic. People are very political. They are very engaged in hot button issues. Nothing wrong with that. And especially for churches or organizations that say, hey, we want to take a stand, that's okay for taking a stand. But here is the tip for today. This is tip number 2 in our video series for 20 tips for 2020, and that is this. Sometimes on social media, or sometimes even in audio or video posts, or things that companies or churches or small to medium-sized organizations put online, the problem is it's overly political or overly controversial. And what happens is we think, as members of a certain organization or a church or certain business, we think, hey, I know what my demographic is. And so we believe that whatever that we're putting out there is fair game. The problem can be is that sometimes if something is overly political, and that doesn't matter if you're Republican, Democrat, Independent, somewhere, right, left, in the middle, the problem is when you post things or put out content that is very controversial, very political, there are folks that don't identify with that. And so what happens, particularly with churches, but this applies to businesses and organizations of all types too, nonprofits, community organizations, is that those very hot button controversial topics alienate people and automatically divide the group that you're wanting to pull in. So if you are struggling to grow your business, if you are struggling to grow your church, maybe it's plateaued or is even declining, I would encourage you to stay away from some of those hottest issues. That's not to say you can't take a stand. I understand we have the right to post about them and to talk about them. It's just whether that's doing your organization, your church, your business any good. That's the tip for the day. 20 tips for 2020. I would personally and professionally encourage you to stay away from those hot button issues. Tip number 3 is coming right up. Thank you for following. If you haven't hit like yet on the page, we would appreciate it if you hit like and you follow along. Please feel free to share that. Look forward to seeing you soon.